Action Comics number, is this 287? I just guessed.
Not even close. 384.
Jim Shooter, a rare. Jim Shooter did 2 or 3 of these.
Oh, I thought he must have did most of them.
No, I think it was like that Nelson Birdwell guy and maybe Carrie Bates.
I was thinking it was kind of half and half, Carrie Bates and Jim Shooter, but just going by my memory.
Well, you couldn't go by the book probably because they didn't bother to credit him.
Yeah, when I was reading, I tried to guess who did this, and I just don't have any idea. I mean, I think it must be Win Mortimer and Jack Abel doing the art, but
oh yeah,
some of the faces and some of the posing really looks like Kurt Swan. But I don't know, it's just in the air probably back then. A Superman comic will look like Kurt Swan, I guess, just because he does 90% of the Superman.
The definitive Superman artist, some would say.
John Byrne is the definitive Superman artist.
That is fucking blasphemy. Blasphemy. Can't believe you said that.
Who's the contemporary definitive Superman artist?
Probably that Gary Frank guy. Everyone seems to love him.
Oh, he just draws him like Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, I mean, I like when Mike Allred draws him.
Really?
Yeah. And the crazy guy. I don't know if there's a definitive Superman artist or definitive artist of anything now. I don't have any sense of the new stuff. I think they switch guys out pretty frequently.
Yeah, who even draws it now? Like that Ivan Race guy did the Bendis Superman, I think. But that was like a year of Superman comics.
Bendis. Oh, that's the guy who destroyed the Legion again, right?
Mm-hmm. He resurrected it only to destroy it.
I kind of think it's reached the point where it's been broken so many times, maybe it can't be saved. Or at least not anytime soon.
No, I think somebody could save it. I think they could do something good. In the same way that like those revival TV shows we were just talking about.
Yeah.
In the same way that those ones can be good or good enough to like get you hooked and to please the fan base and also tell a story that you don't have to have a PhD to understand it, you know?
Right.
But whether the powers will let things like that get made is a different story. I think that's usually the problem.
To me, it seems like it's doomed to be reinvented every 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
Like it'll be just yet another variation of the same thing over and over and over, with slightly modern updates here and there.
If DC Comics would only come to me, we could figure this out.
I know.
Just leave a comment, Jim Lee. I'll get in touch with you.
Okay. I need to remember not to say that thing I was going to say about Jim Lee. But we're not covering issue 4 now, so...
Oh, yeah.
I was going to talk about it.
He's not going to like
that one. His cover was inferior.
Well, he just traced it.
Right.
So this comic is the one where Mon-El dies, right?
That's right. This is 384, Lament for a Legionnaire. We've got Jim Shooter writing it, Win Mortimer penciled it, Jack Abel inked it, Joe Letteries lettered it, and Weisinger is still editing at this point. We're nearing the end of his run.
Yeah, he's just cashing a check. He's not doing anything. He's just cruising on. He's like Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon. He's not going to make any waves until he retires.
He's quitting.
Yeah. Gosh, I already forgot about that.
Right.
Quit talking about quiet quitting.
It's ancient history.
I think Joe Lettereezy does these. He has like his sound effect style is kind of distinct, where they don't quite have a serif on them, but the letters have this kind of I don't know, swoopy kind of not the letters, but the special effects kind of lettering. I don't know. I can't put my finger on.
Was it similar to how that is? The way he just letters, like say the title there?
Yeah, like this, and where she screams over here.
So it's that kind of, I think of it as like psychedelic lettering. Like it seems like the stuff you'd see on like psychedelic posters.
Yeah, it is a little bit 1968, isn't it? Maybe it was just the style back then. So the plot of this one is that Dream Girl has had a dream or a nightmare that tells her that Mon-El is going to die in 5 days from now. And her dreams always come true, she says.
It's almost structured like a lot of those noirish stories, like DOA, or where like someone has to solve the mystery of their own death. Like it starts with them knowing that they're doomed, and then works backwards.
They should have done that more with Dream Girl.
I guess he isn't really trying to solve a mystery in this one, but
he doesn't care. On the other page, there's a page coming up where we'll talk about it. But there is kind of a trope where you solve your own murder.
Mm-hmm. I like that they've sort of worked the elements of the intro page into the scenery. Like the roll call looks like it's hanging on the wall like a poster, and then the title is on the table they're crying on. And then there's that weird picture of him back there. I guess it's like because it's featuring him.
Right. And I didn't even notice this the first time around. I was flipping through it again, and I'm like, what's all this black stuff? And there's like, it's all decked out.
Right, like a Christmas party.
As memorial with black reeds and black curtains. And so, they're in like the death memorial. They already got it set up.
Yeah, they need armbands. Or they do have armbands, right?
Oh, yeah, maybe they are supposed to be.
He says right here, like, the clubhouse is draped in black, hung with funeral wreaths. Everyone's wearing mourning bands on their arms. The girls are crying.
Weird. They failed to draw anybody's memorial bands except for the boys.
Maybe the colorists didn't get the message. So we got their newer headquarters here, the cool one with the...
Yeah, I was going to say, I like this headquarters. It seems like it has some monorail tracks going to it or something. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But it's a good angle, good black shadow on the front of it. That's all Jack Abel, I guess, doing that. It looks really cool.
I love that sculpture. I'd like to have one of those.
I want one too. Every time I see that, I'm like that. And it'd probably be pretty easy to build one
make. Yeah.
Just get some big push pins and stick them into a foam ball. You have it.
It's a rare instance of them actually citing the date, 2969.
Oh, yeah. I didn't catch that. So this one is actually 1,000 years in the future. I mean, I guess that's kind of what it always is, but sometimes in the revised timeline, I guess that the Tom and Mira Beerbaum use,
right?
Not everything, they have to fudge that.
Right. They finally, after like 30 years of making these comics, they realized we don't have to adhere to the time in the same way that modern day comics have to. They can set the timeline any way they want. It doesn't have to line up with other books because it's in a different era.
Also, it doesn't even have to be 1,000 years from today. It can be 1,005 years. Who cares?
Right. And I think like some of the writers have depicted it that way. Like they've described it as roughly 1,000 years, which makes more sense than exactly 1,000 years. Because once you make it exactly 1,000 years, you put the same stupid constraint on these that comics that are happening now have, where they have to explain why no one's aging if time is moving forward. If they wanted to, it could be 2969 for 15 years of comics, or just one issue,
Yeah, 69.
69, dude.
I kind of like the panel of Monel lying in the rocks in her dream. And she's like, you lie so still alone among those rocks. It's like, wow, this is an awful way to die. Just alone on rocks on another planet. And you don't know how he's going to get there, and we can't stop it. This is his fate.
With all the black around it, at first I thought it meant he was like buried alive or buried dead.
Oh, yeah, it's like it's a cutaway, like this is him underground. But Dream Girl wakes up screaming after her nightmare.
Everyone's awake, though.
Yeah, everyone's awake and in costume except for Dream Girl. And they don't even show her in like a nightie or anything. She's just kind of in like a robe. Can't see anything.
They also mention here some of them live there, like in the dorms, but others just live nearby. I don't know if that even occurred to me before, but it makes sense. Like not everybody has to live on campus.
In this period, I think they kind of... They sort of do that a little bit more.
I don't remember who it was. Maybe Mad Reader Lad or somebody had a pad, like a bachelor pad nearby. Oh. And they're acting like teenagers. They're all like driving together, cruising to his house, maybe because they can drink there without Marla watching him.
Maybe that's Ultra Boy.
Yeah, it may be.
Mad Reader Lad lives with his parents.
Oh, okay.
Or Colossal, maybe Colossal Boy also lived with his parents. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
But yeah, in this Action Comics period, yeah, if they didn't do anything else, they pulled the curtain back on the notion that these characters had private lives, personal lives that weren't just their adventures with the Legion. And even in those Silver Age books, if they weren't with the Legion, they were on a special mission or they're on vacation or something, and we didn't talk about what they did.
I imagine like a lot of the guys who live on their own are the Earthborn guys because, they live there. And then like her, she's from another planet, so she has to stay in the dorms.
Yeah, exactly. And like Princess Projectra, she's from...
I wonder if Phantom Girl just goes home when she's done every day because she's already basically in the right place. It's the wrong dimension.
Yep, she has 1 foot in... Never mind. They're arguing about whether they should reveal to Mon-El that they all know he's going to die in 5 days, but they don't have to because he overhears them having this loud conversation in the common area of Legion headquarters. He walks in and he's like, oh.
Karate Kid gets in a chance to show off his power. He's so incensed. He karate chops something, a coffee mug or something.
And in the first panel, this table is empty. But down there in the 5th panel, there's something that appears for him to destroy, and he karate chops it. He karate chops it in his emphaticness that they're going to do something to lick this thing and save Mon-El. But then Mon-El's like, well, I'm going to go rest. He's trying to play it cool, I think.
Yeah, but then he's thinking 5 days, holy shit.
Yeah, but he has come to terms with it on the next page. And he wakes up and he looks out his quarters in Legion headquarters. I don't know if he lives there or if he lives at his house. Beautiful view, man. This is the greatest place with some kind of big globe, and the beautiful morning sun sees the whole of Metropolis out there, I guess.
We see the weird chemo bath. It's similar to what Rock was using in the first issue of 5 years later.
Yeah, but that was supposed to be water. It just came out as chemicals.
Oh.
He says if he wasn't going to die, this chem shower might not feel so good. It feels so great knowing that this may be his last shower. And that he feels so good that he makes breakfast. He's savoring every single one of his last moments.
It's the best synthesized steak and eggs he's ever had.
But then he goes back to get his last little bits of his serum. Mon-El is... lead can kill him if he doesn't take this serum every 48 hours. Brainiac 5 invented this serum. And they have to keep it in a vault. It's way down underground because it's made out of very rare elements.
Has it come up before? Surely it has. That he has to continue taking it. It wasn't just a one and done cure. Brainy's taking a cue from the pharmaceutical industry and requiring him to buy more and take more on a regular basis instead of straight up curing him.
The pharmaceutical industry, or just like the regular illicit drug industry, get you hooked, make you have to keep coming back. Yeah, eventually they get him something where he has to do it every 2 days, and then eventually later on he's fixed for good. They get sick of having to think about that, I guess. So Brainiac 5 solves every problem.
Is he ever fixed for good? Because like in the 80s, weren't there stories where it was wearing off? Or maybe they thought they fixed it for good and it was wearing off and he was starting to go like crazy?
That could be. I guess I remembered that it was not an issue at all eventually.
And then they were trying to they needed to put him back in the Phantom Zone and he's like, fuck that. And he starts fighting the whole Legion. They have to kind of drag him into that dimension to save him. It's also weird that later in the 80s, after he fights Time Trapper and he's dying and they don't know what the heck to do with him, that never seems to come up, or if it did, they figured out some way to dismiss it. After Time Trapper mortally wounded him and Shady's taking him all over the universe trying to cure him, why don't you slap him in the Phantom Zone until you figure it out? He's in a coma anyway.
We should mention that this story is straight up just a way to introduce readers to Mon-El. It tells his backstory and it shines a spotlight on his greatness as a Legionnaire here. But he realizes that if he keeps taking, if he maxes out his serum, the only thing that could kill him is lead under normal circumstances. But if he's topped up on serum, even that can't kill him. So he's like, if I max out on the serum for 5 days, what could possibly kill me? So he goes and he gets a big dose of the serum from the vault under Legion headquarters, and puts it all in his belt buckle for safekeeping, and also destroys the entry into the vault.
So if he takes too much, it just doesn't do anything for him. He like pisses it out like vitamins. Is that the idea?
I guess so. I think what he says is that right now he only takes it every 2 days, but by the end of the 2 days, he's desperate for it and really needs it. So if he takes it every 8 hours, that's what he's going to do, and he'll be at total full capacity.
Only so much can be produced at a time.
Yeah, they don't make very much because it uses shit like kryptonite and like unobtainium.
Rare. Unobtainium? Is that really what it's called? That's good if it is.
It is
unobtainium.
It's a real name. Like I remember I first heard about it in like the first Avatar movie. They call something unobtainium.
Okay.
And I think it just is like a shorthand name for some element that you can't get.
Right.
It's not like an actual specific thing, maybe.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I remember hearing that. I'm like, that's a totally dumb name. There's nothing called unobtainium. That's some movie shit. But I think it actually is some like jargon type of thing.
But there's some weird time-related problem to this, because they can't just stock. Why don't they just make a bunch at once, right? And stockpile a bunch of it that he's going to need eventually. Like maybe once it's mixed, it's only potent for a certain amount of time.
I think they have a backlog of it. He explains it, and he's taking all of that. But it must always be kind of making some, like it's in the cold brew drip thing.
Right.
So it's making a tiny bit every day.
What I'm wondering is Brainy like just producing it a drip at a time, so he at Legion headquarters, so he always stays with the team.
Absolutely, that's definitely.
So he doesn't go join Force Works or whatever the workforce.
Yeah, it's Brainiac 5 drug dealer.
Right.
You know, he's like, no, there's only one place you can come. You have to come to me.
Right.
You want your fix? Brainiac 5 is your man. Come into my basement.
The heroes of Lalor can't give you this. The Wanderers, they can't do this for you. You have to stay with us.
Well, and it's also locked up. It's under tight security. No other Daxamite could get it. Like, Dev M shows up. Sorry. I don't know how they protect Dev M. Oh, he's a Kryptonian, isn't he? So never mind.
Yeah.
He's not a Daxamite till later.
Yet. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's no other Daxamites. But he's making sure that no intruders can get to this stuff.
Right. He seals it off and then burrows his way out and turns slapstick for a minute.
Oh, it's so embarrassing. Where they're like, it's front page news on the newspaper in the 30th century. Everybody's found out the Legionnaire is about to die. And why? Some secretary blabbed.
Oh.
The only people who knew was the secretaries. Oh, the United Planets High Council, they get a copy of the Legion log. I guess that's the Legion weekly update newspaper that goes out to all the governments and all the police departments. And some fucking cackling hens. No, what do they call them? Some fucking sewing circle got hold of this and blabbed it all over the universe that Mon-El's going to die in 5 days.
I don't know why I'm trying to think of one of those terms. We just have to cut it out anyway.
I know, we shouldn't say that.
I don't know. George Burns used to use quite a few of those terms, though.
When women get together, there's no secrets. The newspaper he's holding up, he calls it the Legion log in the word balloon, but the masthead says Computo News. It's named after the homicidal computer robot that Brainiac 5 invented that killed 33% of Triplicate Girl.
And the council is United Planets High Council is monitoring their stuff on the regular.
Oh, well, and you mean the Legion log subscription? Right. They send that to him.
Oh, okay. We skipped over the fact that he knocked Element Lad on his ass. And he's like, yow!
Oh, yeah, that should have killed him, huh? That's what I thought.
Well, what's funny is, it's not lead because lead kills him. So he could see through. He did that on purpose, is my point.
He just could have looked, couldn't he?
Right. It's like, oh, sorry, Element Lad.
Well, didn't he was punching out Element Lad in an issue of Adventure Comics we just read not too long ago. Like he's beating the fuck out of him. He puts all his force into punching out Element Lad.
Oh, that's right. That? Yeah. And was that the competition?
Yeah, it was. It was the who's the king of the superheroes or whatever.
Right.
He's fucking up Element Lad. He just has a grudge against Element Lad.
Yeah. Well, he could turn anything into lead, so he needs to get him out of the way if he can.
Well, you think that's it, or you think he's a homophobe?
Which version of Mon-El? Like the one on the animated cartoon? Maybe.
That guy totally is.
Right.
That guy subscribes to the Bill O'Reilly podcast, that piece of shit.
Right. Future Fox News.
And then some dudes from Daxam call up Mon-El. Daxam is the home planet of Mon-El. We've been saying it over and over again. They offer to take him in. Over on Daxam, they've built a impenetrable sanctuary where Mon-El can stay to protect him from whatever might kill him in 5 days. And it's this gigantic building, this white dome thing. And he can live there until after the fatal day. But he's like, nah, I don't need your giant sanctuary. Sorry. Thanks anyway.
Spoken like a hero.
Yeah, like I'm thinking...
Like an idiot.
I think of like the Olympics, you know? Like the Olympics comes to your town and they like the city will, you know, they'll displace a bunch of homeless people and poor people and they'll tear down their homes and they'll build a stupid like swimming pool and a big sports rec center that only gets used for like 2 weeks.
Right.
And then after that, it's just this tax burden or this liability, these crumbling places where no one ever goes that we as taxpayers paid for, and people actually used to could live there, but now they can't anymore. And that's what happened here on Daxam.
Sometimes entire countries that happens to.
Right.
That happened kind of recently.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking about the one in L.A. It's coming up. They're doing it in L.A. This Olympics committee, it's awful. They shouldn't happen. Olympics is stupid. It's bad for humanity. Bottom line.
While we're complaining about that bullshit, there's some kind of football jackassery going on right now, like draft picks, I think. Like they get to pick who's on who's going to be on the team. All the football teams. And for some reason it's being held here. In Kansas City. So all the schools have to be out for the next 2 days because the school buses, the routes are closed off for this bullshit. Like it's a big event, like Motley Crue's going to play there. All over like picking football players.
That's really bizarre. NFL really should also be illegal. I hate it. It's so stupid.
Absolutely. It's insane that we're like, oh, this causes brain damage. This makes people suicidal and have Alzheimer's in their 40s. Oh, that's okay. We make a lot of money for it, so never mind.
Right. Well, yeah, and they're like, oh, those players, they know what they're getting into.
Right.
You know, we pay them a lot for that. It's like modern day gladiator arena shit.
Yeah, because unless you're like top players, like everyone else, they make a lot of money in a very short period of time. Then their body's wrecked. They have to live on that money for the rest of their lives. But they're kids when they do it, and they probably blow most of that money.
And at the same time, their brain is degenerating because they've got 100 concussions a week for 3 years or whatever. And
then every time, oh, it's just a coincidence that you have Alzheimer's at 45. We didn't have anything to do with that.
Like, we wondered why you were beating up your wife and threatening to kill yourself all the time. Oh, you had Alzheimer's. How'd you get that?
Yeah, it's some grim shit. They all shoot themselves in the heart so that their brain will be intact. So it can be studied.
Yeah, they can send it to a lab.
Yeah, they do that on purpose. The ones that get to the point where they can't take it anymore and they decide to kill themselves. They do that so that their brains can be studied.
Yeah, when I saw that movie, like there was a movie with Fresh Prince in it that talks about this shit.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
He plays the doctor who like discovers that CTE or whatever, and how there's all these football players losing their minds and getting all fucked up, and it's because they get all these concussions and stuff. The movie is called Concussion.
Okay.
Like I saw that and I'm like, damn, this is real and it's fucked up. Surely this huge Hollywood movie with the highest paid film actor in the business
Right.
that gets nominated for Oscar awards and stuff will shine a spotlight on this, and people will think twice about whatever, making their kid play football and stuff. Nah, they're still like fucking Loud House cartoons doing augmented reality during the Super Bowl and shit like that. Like,
Right.
come on. You should not enforce this. Even if, like, at the very least, only have adults be able to do this.
Yeah,
Like,
they're still doing it in high school and stuff.
yeah, I'm younger than that. It's messed up.
I think the younger ones have to do tag.
Yeah, but it
where
still
they rip
conditions them to want to do the real thing. You know what I mean? Like,
I
even
think
the way
I
you
think-
said that, it's like they have to do tag. What they want to do is like bash each other's brains out.
I think they should make the adults play the tag if they insist on playing that game. But
It's just all messed up.
yeah, back to the 30th century, where football has been banned.
Right. It's Magno Ball now.
Right.
But yeah, this place where the big sanctuary is used to be a sprawling city with like 1 million apartment buildings right here.
Right.
And now it's a big building for one guy, and he doesn't even want it. He's gonna tough it out.
Yeah, they're really bending over to accommodate him. I guess even pre-Valor continuity, being that he's a Daxamite from 1,000 years ago, he's probably very revered on that planet. He probably makes it uncomfortable to visit there.
Wait, what does that mean?
Like he's a legendary survivor, legendary figure.
Oh, so
Daxam.
for him, it would be uncomfortable to visit there.
Right. Like, for the reasons you just said, like, they're probably, like, clearing people out and offering to build this thing at the expense of poor people just to accommodate their universal celebrity.
Right. But also the truth is that it doesn't take too much to convince the government to clear out a bunch of poor people and put something else in that place.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, you're right. Yeah, have they done the recap of his origin yet in this? They kind of do.
When he's getting dressed, doesn't he kind of explain?
Is that where it was? I wanted to talk about that.
Well, that's where he talks about going to Krypton and the suspended animation.
Well, shit, I was going to talk about that.
It's got to be like the single most retold origin in DC.
Well, how is it that I never remembered that he was actually not from the 30th century? He was from the 20th century or earlier even.
Well, I still don't know about that earlier part, but he was he definitely was from the 20s because he first appeared in Superboy, not Legion, like
That's
a Superboy story, because he was his supposed brother.
Right, but like you said, he goes and he actually talks to Jor-El, right?
Right.
Superboy's dead father who died before Superboy got to Earth, right?
Right.
So he's over like you get to the 30th century, he's over 1,000 years old. So, he doesn't have any friends or relatives on 30th century Daxam, period. Yeah.
When Superboy first met him, discovered him, whatever, there was like some of Jor-El's, like maybe there was a map to Earth from Jor-El. It was something like that, some artifact that was definitely Jor-El's. So he's like, "You've got to be my brother." That's
right. He thought he was another Kryptonian. Superboy thought Mon-El.
But then
was
when he got his memory back, he remembered that he stopped by Krypton. He was like lost or something, and Jor-El gave him directions.
Right. Yeah, I think because I didn't ever read that stuff, I started with the much later Legion stuff and just never really got around to stuff that happened. Like Mon-El isn't even like originally not like a Legion character even, right? He's a Superboy side character, one-off.
Right.
So I guess maybe in my mind, I just always think of him like, oh, if he met Superboy, it's because he got stranded in the past when he was doing some space travel or something. But that's not it. Not it at all. He's actually older than Superboy. He was alive before Superboy was born because he talked to Jor-El.
Right.
So he's over 1,000 years old in this comic book. He spent 1,000 years in the Phantom Zone.
Conscious. So yeah, definitely. And that's one of those things that you really have to squint, especially as an adult, to sort of buy, because he's still acting more or less like a normal, sane human being. and he's like existed consciously for 1,000 years. Like he should either be insane or near omnipotent, like he's seen everything. He knows every secret on Earth because he's had nothing to do but like explore the universe as a ghost.
Like, can you sleep when you're in the Phantom Zone? Because like if that was me, I'd be like napping quite a bit.
Me too, but I don't think so.
No. And he was getting bullied by like generals.
Yeah.
Like
and then like all the worst villains in the universe were there taunting him the whole freaking time.
Yeah.
In fact, when he finally got cured and let out, he asked to be let back in one more time so he could tell them to suck it. He did. He went right back in to tell them all to eat shit. I'm out of here for good. Have fun.
Was that in Adventure Comics 300?
No, because I don't think he was out permanently in 300. I think 300 was they just let him out temporarily, but he had to go back. It was a little later that Brainiac 5 got him out for good.
B5, you call him that? Like when you're reading?
B5.
I never do.
The official from Daxam kind of looks like the guy chasing John Kimball in
Richard Kimball.
Richard Kimball in the...
Yeah, he totally does look like that guy, like Gerard from The Prisoner.
Right.
Or The Fugitive, not The Prisoner.
Right.
Gil Gerard.
Not Gil Gerard. Yeah, that's Buck Rogers, right?
I think his first name is Lieutenant Gerard.
Right.
On the next page, Mon-El is just like, don't treat me any different. I'm going to go about my business as a Legionnaire in spite of this looming death because I'm pretty confident now that I took all the drugs that nothing can stop me. And he flies off. And Shadowlass shows up and she's pissed. She screams at the leader Karate Kid for sending him on a mission. And Karate Kid's like, hold it, that was his idea. Don't make me go blind or whatever.
Right. Kind of silly that he set him off on a 4-day mission when he has 5 days to live and didn't think of her. But Mon-El obviously didn't think of her either.
Oh, yeah. Mon-El thought of her less.
Yeah.
And that may be kind of a lead into that Legion number 4. Like there may be a little bit of this in that informs that issue.
Right. Also, Karate Kid, not that clever a leader. You totally expect, okay, I've got an important mission for you. I need you to go check the records in the third vault down in the Universal Library, and it's going to take you days to go through it.
Right? Yeah, send them to the safest place ever.
Right.
It's like you have to go to the pillow dimension.
Right.
No one else is there. All that's there is food and quiet. No danger there. But he doesn't send them there. He sends them to the fucking meteor.
The lead world, the planet of lead.
But yeah, Mon-El is eager to go. He's like, see you later. And he flies off. Mm-hmm. And then here comes Dream Girl. She's like, I just had another premonition.
He's like, all right, let's hear it.
Here's an ad for you. How to do strongman tricks without strength.
Without strength? That's just what I need.
I don't have any strength either. It's pretty good for me. He's breaking the thing on the table just like Karate Kid did. I liked this next page. I liked the... this is stuff they did in the Action Comics period of Legion where they would color like the foreground a dark solid color. And maybe it's more...
You skipped over the, hey kids, it's World War II. No, okay, go ahead.
I don't like to promote the war machine, the military industrial complex of selling toys to kids to continue getting...
It'd be funny if that all turned out to be part of like the military recruitment initiative or something. Like they came up with the toy soldiers and everything.
It totally is. Toy guns, toy soldiers. Yeah. That's just to keep recruitment up, just to get more cannon fodder for the fucking war machine.
That never occurred to me. I always figured the police had something to do with the toy gun industry, so they'd have an excuse to shoot children.
Well, then who's responsible for like the fucking orange and green camouflage guns that came out when I was a kid? I thought that was the police because they were always like, oh, we accidentally shot a kid because his toy gun was black plastic or black metal looked like a real gun. So now
No, that was the
not
parents.
pink.
The parents who didn't want their kids
Yeah,
shot.
the parents and the toy companies, huh? The toy companies who didn't want to have it on their conscience that their guns or their toys
That was
were getting
before.
kids killed.
That's before they realized that they would just shoot them anyway. They didn't even have to have a gun in their hand.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to be holding a baseball or something. I thought it was a gun.
Right. You don't have to see their face. Just shoot them in the
Right,
back.
right.
Like he had a shadow. I don't know. It could have been a gun. I was scared.
That clearly mentally disabled child was going to kill me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was 6. He couldn't speak. I thought he would kill me. I was so scared.
Right. Stand your ground.
He was just a wild animal.
Hey, no shit.
I forgot how we got it. Oh, we were talking about his ad, huh?
Yeah.
Back to the comic book.
Mm-hmm.
Dreamgirl's next premonition is that Mon-El's going to battle some interdimensional raiders. I don't know. It doesn't say what dimensional.
Invaders.
Oh, yeah. Somewhere else it must call them raiders. I wrote raiders down on my notes.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of complicated, though. She doesn't say those invaders are going to kill him, just that they're destined to fight on the day that Mon-El is going to die.
Right. It's still not clear how exactly he dies.
Yeah. But Mon-El flies back, and now he's not so confident.
Mm-mm.
Before he was like, there's no way, I got all my serum. Karate Kid's like, you can fill out your report and get it back to me on Monday. And he's like, I'm not going to be around then. Too bad.
I love that. It's like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it on Saturday. I'll pay you back on Saturday after I'm dead.
Too bad I won't be around then.
Way to have a good attitude there, Mon-El.
Karate Kid, I'm afraid you will never get your report because I'm going to die. I didn't do shit. That would be the only good thing about knowing you were going to die.
Right.
Is like, you go to your boss, and the boss is like, David, where's your assignment? It's due on Thursday. I'm not going to be around on Thursday. I didn't do anything. I've had the assignment for 2 weeks. I'm out of here. Fuck you. I'm dying on Wednesday.
Could I get an advance, boss? I'll get you back next week. You can just take it out of my paycheck.
Advance.
Yeah.
I'm going to die in 4 days. I don't know what I'm going to do with that advance, but just give it to me.
Weapons and drugs, right? Isn't that the go-to? Weapons, drugs, stolen car, go to Las Vegas.
I would probably get into like the arms dealer and drug dealer business for a couple of days. Isn't that what Breaking Bad's about?
I guess.
But on a speeded up schedule.
Right.
Over 4 days instead of over like 4 seasons of TV, which is probably like 10 years or something.
I would go buy a whole bunch of comic books and go home and read them.
Ugh.
That's what I do anyway, right? Complacent.
That sounds so boring.
But I do it on speed. I'd do a bunch of meth and read comic books.
Oh, yeah. Drop acid and read some comic books.
I would jump on the internet and try to get canceled by everybody. Become infamous without actually hurting anyone, if that were possible.
I don't think it is. That's the reason you get infamous, is by hurting someone.
Yeah. I'd go take care of Elon Musk.
Oh, shit. Take care of him?
Take that blue check from him.
I'd take care of Joe Biden, a socialist.
That's a good idea. I think he's going to take care of himself pretty quick here. Or time will do it.
Definitely not going to loan that guy any money.
No.
We're expecting any reports for him next week.
Right.
From him. Shadowless gets a cold shoulder by this Mon-El who shows up. And then...
twice.
Then he busts Superboy trying to break into his room. And I don't know what Superboy's going to do. Smother him to death so Superboy can take his place and die. I don't quite get what Superboy's plan was. Imprison him, put him in the Phantom Zone.
He's going to kidnap him.
I guess Mon-El suggests that Superboy planned to kidnap him and, in disguise, face Mon-El's death. Right, hero, is what he says. I think Mon-El saying, like, derisively calling Superboy hero is kind of funny.
Right. The Phantom Zone guess would be a good one. And that would explain why he's pissed. Like, oh, you're going to try to stick me in there for another 1,000 years. Sure, you'll cure me this time. I'm going to have to wait till like Brainiac 10 figures out a way to get me out 1,000 years later.
He'll be in there 5,000 years.
Right.
Just watching Superboy go through his day-to-day life, trying to figure out how to make out with Lana Lang or whatever the hell.
Right.
Like, hey, I'm still in here, dude. This is a good transition between, this is on the page 9, the transition from the first panel to the second panel. It crosses 11 hours, and it goes from when Mon-El is chewing out Superboy for trying to kidnap him and take his place. And the next thing you know, the Legionnaires are trapped inside. We find out it's a big energy bubble or force field or something. Right. But
even Superboy.
It goes straight to, Mon needs help, and we can't do a thing. They're trapped behind this glass. Mm-hmm. It's just a very rapid transition. Like, I don't know if... Jim Shooter has written a lot of comic books by now, but I think maybe a different type of writer, maybe a more traditional kind of comic book writer would not do a transition like that. There would be a little bit more lead in and to go from, hey, you tried to kidnap me, I'm sorry, to, hey, we're trapped and about to get killed, or Mon-El's about to get killed, or something like that.
Yeah, there would be like a ton of exposition. It'd be like all exposition.
Yeah.
I guess it still is, but at least it's in the dialogue, not in the yellow box.
Right. These action issues, since they're backups, they're a third of the comic or something like that.
Right.
The pace is kind of nuts. Like, I like reading them. This one's a little bit boring. I feel like some of the other ones are more exciting than this one.
Yeah.
But the way they have to tell the story, and I think maybe even like Jim Shooter he's as ambitious as he used to be, but he used to have an entire long comic book to work with, and now he has 12 pages or something.
It's getting kind of long in the tooth, though, David. He's probably like 17 when he's writing these.
Old, washed up.
Yep, has been.
But anyway, Mon-El's out there beating up these interdimensional raiders. They caught the Legionnaires flat-footed, they say. Mm-hmm. They put an impenetrable force shield around the headquarters. Superboy's trapped in there even. I don't know how Mon-El got out, but everybody else is trapped inside. But Mon-El beats him and the barrier fades away. And it's revealed that this isn't Mon-El, this is some other dude.
Eltro.
What?
Eltro Gand.
Yeah.
You can bet that guy got his ass kicked a lot in the playground. Eltro.
Hey, Eltro. Nerd. Or no one was the wiser that this isn't the Mon-El that they've known for I don't know how many issues of comic books. Like, this is Superboy's big brother. Didn't know the difference.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could put Cosmic Boy or Matter Eater Lad or Superboy. They just comb their hair differently and put that costume on, and they're the spitting image of him. Because they all have like the same Kurt Swan face. I mean, they used to do that with Batman and Superman all the time. Remember? That was a part of it. Like, they would pose as each other because they looked identical.
That's how Batman got to have sex with Lois Lane.
Whoa.
That's why Robin looks so much like Superman. I don't know.
Whoa. I can't believe you said that. You know, that Scott Snyder guy, apparently, that was part of his plan for his Snyderverse bullshit. Like, Batman was going to impregnate Lois Lane.
Really? What was the thinking behind that? What would be the purpose of that?
The plan was Superman was going to turn evil, and Batman was going to get the girl.
Weird.
He's a big Superman fan. Oh, I just remembered. But then somehow, I guess Superman becomes a good guy again, and Batman dies, and then Superman raises Batman and Lois's kid. But I don't know if he knows it's his kid.
You'd have to name him Batman Jr.
Right.
Oh, boy.
You think I'm making all that up, but that is online. That was his plan.
Wow.
For the 3 Justice League movies.
And how many Justice League movies did they make? Just one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they had someone else finish it even. That's the big masterpiece. All the
Snyderverse.
incels. Snyder. They are. The overlap is like perfect on the diagram. It's just one circle.
All the fucking losers.
Yeah.
Eltrogand explains that he's a descendant of Mon-El's older brother from Daxam. So I guess way back 1,010 years ago, there was Mon-El, and then there was Mon-El's brother,
Son-El.
Yeah,
Joe
Gand.
Right.
And since Mon-El wasn't available to have any descendants, because he
Billy Bob Gand.
Billy Bob. Mon-El didn't have any descendants because he's been locked in the Phantom Zone for 1,000 years. But he had a brother, and down through the generations, everyone has looked like Largand Mon-El.
He was going to pull the same thing Superboy was going to try and take his place, to die in his place, right?
Eltrogand. I don't know how he figured out where Mon-El was going to be out on this mission that Karate Kid sent him on, but he went out there somehow. I guess since Eltrogand is going to have superpowers too if he's not on Daxam, somehow overpowered Mon-El, took his place.
Eltro might not be the brightest of the L family because so he knocked him out on a planet of lead and then took his antidote and left.
I wonder how he managed to drug Mon-El. I guess he's like, hey, I'm your nephew from your great whatever nephew.
Let's have a drink
with me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They go out and they find Mon-El where he's supposed to be nearly sedated, but he's not breathing. He's dead. And Eltro, he's distraught, and he's like, there's only one thing to do now. And he grabs the dead body of Mon-El, and flies back to Earth, back to Legion headquarters, crashes through the wall. This is a good panel, by the way. I like this one where they show the two holes in the wall where Eltro flew through, and Superboy's in the foreground, and Shadow-Ass is kind of behind him.
Yeah.
But he goes back to Legion headquarters, and they wrapped this up fast, huh? I kind of forgot how fast this is wrapped up. Mm-hmm. Eltrogand and Mon-El Largand are in this weird gizmo. Eltrogand's like throwing the switch.
Using the same machine, the same kind of machine that allegedly resurrected Lightning Lad.
But at this point in history, we think it's regular old Lightning Lad got resurrected.
Right.
Through the sacrifice of Prody 1. Superboy is explaining this all in his thoughts that we can read.
One wonders, like, what function did this device serve in Daxamite society to begin with? Was it like the rich guys would get peasants and, like, kill them so they could live forever? I mean, like, what altruistic purpose could a machine that takes the life from one and to save the other, like, what's the rationale for that?
It's a machine that transfers life essence from the living to the dead.
Mm-hmm. The resurrection of Lightning Lad story where they're all holding the rods up. Mon-El came back from Daxam as he found out a way to resurrect him, but he told everybody he couldn't find anything, and Saturn Girl knew he was lying. She found out that he found out.
That's a much more convoluted, or maybe convoluted is not even the right word. Like, it ties very strongly back to the resurrection of Lightning Lad story, and
Absolutely.
that story connects to Daxam, which I didn't really remember.
Right.
Far out. Your question about who or why they need this on Daxam, I don't know. In that issue 4, no, it's in the period of the Baxter Legion series when they're trying to find a way to restore Mon-El back to health after his battle with the Time Trapper. Mm-hmm. Paul Levitz, via the Encyclopedia Galactica or some shit like that, explains that, like, the way that Kolu is to collecting data and knowledge, Daxam is to genetics or something like that, right? They're the big genetics superpower in the universe. And I don't know if, like, they didn't know about DNA this far back, or I guess they did in the 50s, but it probably wasn't as big of a thing back in 1965 when they resurrected Lightning Lad, or 69. Maybe this gizmo has something to do with their life sciences stuff they do on Daxam, or maybe that's just where that idea it came from. This where they do some shit where they transfer the minds of the life essence of living people into dead people, which it kills. You got a dead person, a living person, and you swap them. You revive that dead person and kill the living person. Doesn't seem like that great of a deal, but it's important enough that they built a machine and used it twice to do it.
Right. It seems like the kind of machine that would allow rich people to live forever.
Yeah, I wonder how many of these there are. Like, we got one in Legion headquarters, and they've used it a couple of times. So I bet it's pretty common, huh? Bet there's one in Orlando with all those monarchs and shit. Anyway, Eltro uses this gizmo to give up his own life to save Mon-El. Eltro is this young guy from this period of history. He gives up his own life to save this 1,010-year-old son of a bitch, just because he goofed. Like, he's upset and he's mad at himself that he goofed. So he's kind of a puss, I guess, in a way.
Well, I mean...
But also, Mon-El's a big hero.
It's actually the second time he's done that, though, because he was taking his place to go fight on the day he was destined to die. So it was his plan to die in his place all along, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
Because he was trying to trick fate by passing himself as Mon-El.
Right. And yeah, like we learned that you cannot violate the Dream Girl prophecy. Mon-El's still gonna die. Yeah, so you think Eltro, he was like, I'm not gonna be here to do your report by Saturday, I'm gonna be dead. He's ready to die. He's fine with that decision to die.
I think so.
Would you consider that to be a suicidal person, or he's just like, he thinks he's doing something really, really noble and saving this important person? But he's not like, I deserve to die, I suck, I'm depressed, life is miserable. He's not like that, right?
No, I don't think so. But this is like his great-great-granduncle, right? He's trying to save. But he might be kind of unstable. The fan who would later have that theory that Eltro's mind was swapped or added to Largan's, she kind of, I think it was a she, part of the reason why she came up with this idea, I think, is she wanted to explain a change in his personality that she felt had occurred. Like, he seemed less rational from like the 70s moving forward.
Right, after this. You're talking about a letter that was published, or an article or a letter that was published in the Legion Outpost magazine, and we read it in the Best of the Legion Outpost book from Tomorrows. Right.
I didn't really understand the rationale unless maybe, does he start acting really dumb? Does he start doing really dumb things? Because this character is not very smart, clearly.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what... Sometimes I feel like the readers recognize changes in the personality that, I don't know, like, they're all kind of non-entities in the Adventure Comics era. They're all... They have interchangeable personalities. They're all kind of nothings in a way. Some of them, they have their quirks, like Triplicate Girl's in love with Superboy. I don't know. There's probably somebody who is really maybe a little bit cocky, somebody who's maybe a little bit down on themselves. But then they all kind of solve those problems, So they're all just about the same, about like any teenager.
Right.
So I guess I'm eager to keep an eye on this as we read subsequent Mon-El stories after this. But I don't know how he is here. He's competent and intelligent. Like that's his personality.
Yeah, I think they were kind of constrained by editorial dictate to keep them all like very moral, young, good example guys. But the result of it was they're all just Superboy with different costumes, basically. Their personalities don't vary that much.
I mean, that's what you run into too when you have like a lot of characters. And when you can't count on your reader from last issue reading the next issue, things like that, like that's kind of just a sales situation in the Silver Age.
Right.
But clearly now in this issue, the people making the comic know that, or they're really counting on the audience to know a lot about the old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is just the beginnings of the fan service, or just the kind of creating a canon of Legion lore, I guess, kind of begins in these action issues, which is kind of strange because people don't like them. People think they're boring, or people discount them because they're short or whatever. Not much happens in them.
I don't know. I think we've discussed it before, but I think what makes these great is they kind of have a foot in the Silver Age and a foot in the Bronze Age. They still kind of feel like Silver Age comics, but they're a little more sophisticated.
I feel like that's a Cary Bates thing, but it must just be Shooter too. And Shooter is kind of a
because the transition does kind of start with him bringing in, I guess, that more Marvel 60s Marvel sensibility.
Right. Shooter though is kind of he's a smart guy. He wrote a bunch of kids comics. I don't know that the comics he wrote for in like the 80s and 90s, I don't know if those are that great, but yeah, he's kind of a thoughtful writer. He has some ideas. Mm-hmm. I feel like Cary Bates is more like the wild card, and he's like a 70s I don't know if he's a counterculture guy, but he's like he's 70s. He's really modern and thinking about different issues than the people writing comics in the 60s. And I don't know what Shooter's angle is. He's kind of staid and kind of traditional. Definitely when you get into like the fucking like the Valiant stuff,
Oh yeah.
Like he puts in social issues, but it's also not exciting. It's like Adam 12 social issues. Meanwhile, Cary Bates has, he has Superboy kidnap a girl and loses virginity to her. Has Timberwolf get addicted to a flower that's drugs. And weird shit like that. I mean, I think that's Cary Bates. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm way off.
So he's kind of like Denny O'Neil or something. He's trying to bring more social issues in, maybe.
Maybe, but I think Cary Bates is just more of a freak and wants to write about oddball stuff. Mm-hmm. Whereas maybe Shooter, he wants to write a superhero comic, but make it like Spider-Man.
Right.
And Cary Bates, and I don't know if Cary Bates kept this up, but he has the ability to do these Silver Age style comics, but then there's weird shit in them that you notice, like real weird shit. Mm-hmm. I don't have a lot to back that up though. I need to read more Cary Bates comics and read an interview with the guy.
Did he write the Action comic story in the front? I guess we wouldn't know, right?
I think he did.
It's not credited.
I think I actually looked it up, and he wrote the first part, or the first story, and Shooter wrote the other.
Like, is Superman what he's known for? Like 70s Superman?
That's what I know him as.
Video Jack.
Yeah. A Keith Giffen project. The guy who wrote a Keith Giffen project. I don't know who's really responsible for it.
It looks like it. When I'm looking at like his bibliography, and there's a lot of Superman here. A lot more of it than anything
I really
else.
think of him as the 70s Superman writer. And I think he did some TV, and he did like Silver Blade. That's about all I can think of. Besides Video Jack.
Was he the one? Who the heck was that? There was a comic book writer who I think he did maybe some Superboy or something like that. Like the Superboy.
I think that's Cary Bates, yeah.
But then he like transitioned into like doing legit TV. Like,
I think that's true. I think I read something that like there was a certain period when Cary Bates gotten into TV and just checked out of the comic books. Like you couldn't get him to write one, you couldn't get him to interview about one. But I also might be mixing him up with Jerry Conway. Jerry Conway was writing Law and Order. I'm pretty sure of that. But sometimes I mix it up. I think sometimes I think that it's Cary Bates who wrote Law and Order, but I think it's actually Jerry Conway was writing Law and Order.
Yeah, that whoever was doing Law and Order, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. In this last panel of the comic, after Superboy's thoughts explain the history of this machine, that it's what brought Lightning Lad back to life through the sacrifice of Prody 1, and he's kind of grave about it. He's like, Ultra's made the same supreme sacrifice as the noble Prody to save the life of another hero. And the next line is Mon-El going, "Hey, who is that?" And Shadowlass is like, "For a while, he was Mon-El, you." The end. I'm like, what are they going to... I have a million questions. What are they going to do with the dead body of Ultra Gand? Do they feel bad? Does Mon-El give a fuck? Like, this guy's his relative who just died. And he looks at a dude who looks exactly like him, dressed in the same clothes, is now dead. And he's like, "Hey, what's going on? What's this all about? This crazy thing." And Shadowlass's response is like, "He was you for a minute." Like, what the hell? I mean, I know they only got 10 and 2/3 of pages of comics to tell the story, but this is insane. This ending of this comic book. Like, come on, Jim Shooter. Couldn't you, like, even Superboy explaining this in kind of hushed tones or whatever, like this is a serious matter. Even he doesn't seem to care that much. And these other guys are kind of kidding around about it, like, "He was you for a little bit. Now he's dead. Well, we're going to have to throw his body in the Legion incinerator that we throw in all the other dead bodies."
Yeah, he's the yellow shirt that's there just to solve a plot problem and then is quickly dispatched.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
how many stories have been solved where like a major character seemingly dies in the cliffhanger, but then we find out the next episode, the next issue, that lo and behold, he had a twin brother all along, and he just happened to show up and died in his place, and that's the first and last we hear of him.
I know. I mean, they could at least have the I don't know, the courage to feel bad about this guy who, I mean, this is some dude. Like, if it was me and you told me that my ancestor from 1,000 years ago is about to die, I wouldn't be like, "No, let me die in his place."
I'd be like, "Fuck it, he's dead anyway, right? That was 1,000 years ago."
Like, he's on borrowed time for about 998 years, right?
Right.
I wouldn't do anything. Like,
I'm not a direct descendant.
But like, if I was like, "Oh, geez, I'm gonna go take his place. I'm gonna fight a bunch of interdimensional. What are these guys? They're like Bigfoots or something from another dimension. I'm gonna fight them off. Like, celebrate me." But no, not really gonna talk about it again. They're not gonna talk about this guy. Not one sentence will be uttered about Eltro Gand for 20 years.
Do you think he just wanted a piece of that shady?
He didn't, though. Like, yeah, that's what he should have done. But he gave it a cold shoulder. He should have been like, "Oh, Shady, I only have one day to live."
That's right. Because
What do you think we can do in one day?
Meanwhile, the real Mon-El's dying somewhere.
Right.
My bad.
"Oh, I feel a little sick, Shady. Why don't you nurse me back to health? Let me put on some chapstick."
2 months later, it sure is taking you a long time to die.
You were only supposed
She's
to live
sick
for
of
5
him.
days, you fucking son of a bitch.
Right.
"I've been doing crazy stuff with you for a month. I'm sick of it. Won't you just die already?"
You rub my feet one more time. Right. It's keeping me alive.
Sick of wearing this French-made costume, you gross pervert.
Come make me a sandwich. I need it or I'm gonna die.
But that was the comic book part of Action Comics 384.
Huzzah!
Yeah.
LOL.